I think it would. I mean, looks do help. But I think the most thing is kindness and gentleness. I mean, I wouldn't care if he was handsome and he wasn't kind, he wouldn't appeal to me.
I think personality, warmth and affection for children are the main things.
What about his looks? Would you mind if he was very ugly?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think looks are very good anyway because the man is too wrapped up in himself.
Do you think looks are important?
Sometimes it all depends on the man.
What about money?
Money's not important.
Would you marry an ugly man?
I've married one.
What the
Really complex question.
Universal male and female nature.
Ooh, that's a really complex question. I think there are universal male and female traits, but I don't know if there's a very consistent male and female nature.
Yes, I personally feel like men are meant to be kind of the protector and kind of take control of the relationship, whereas women are to be the nurturers and the ones on the receiving end of the protecting.
Not in 2024. I mean, now when you go on social media, you see men saying they're in their soft soft guy era. Yeah, in their soft guy era. Listen, things are going crazy out here. What they are espousing, that is not happening today. People, I mean, everything is getting complicated. Everything is getting chaotic. You know, men are acting like women, women are acting like men. It is very, very, very chaotic out here. I don't know what these guys are looking at, but it is the dating scene. It's really not that great. It's really not that great. Anyway, let's keep going.
Do you think boys are better suited to learn about female nature, specifically how to attract women, from mothers or fathers?
Mothers.
Why?
What?
Because I had a brother, he was 19 years older than me, and we had 3 girls in the family, plus our mom, plus our dad. And because of that, he actually did really well in his marriage because we kind of taught him how to treat women.
From father.
So there was a father in the house, and you never thought maybe the father, he saw how the father treated the mom and treated the girls, and then he learned from it. Like the hubris with women sometimes is just insanity. Is really crazy. Because you have a bunch of women in the house. Because you have a bunch of women in the house, a man can't learn from the father how to treat a woman. That's exactly who you go to learn how to treat a woman. A woman will tell you how to make you a less attractive man. Let me put it that way. I'm not going to use the S word, but yeah, women will steer you towards being the S word. From my experience, from my anecdotal experience, that is what, if I need a dating advice, I go to the guy, I don't go to the women. That's just me. I don't think a woman can tell me how to be attractive as a man. Like the whole thing is just crazy to me. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But anyway, let's keep going.
There's probably I feel like you really take after the way your father treats women and the type of women that he gets and is with. I feel like a son would definitely take some pointers from that.
Do you think that the rise of single moms in any way contributes to the lack of respectable men?
Absolutely. Yes. There's men just these days don't really know how to act, I feel like. And a lot of the societal values behind men and what their participation looks like in a relationship is much different than how it was, say, in the 50s when divorce rates were much lower. Well, when any divorce was able to happen.
Would you trust a single mom to teach a man how to be a man?
Yes.
Would you trust a single mom to teach her daughter how to choose the right man?
Yes.
Wouldn't she not be a single mom if she chose the right man?
We all make mistakes and hopefully learn from them. And B, sometimes the best way to teach your children is to not do what you did.
Single mothers a lot of times, I don't want to say all the time, but I would probably imagine to say about 80% of the time, have some sort of vendetta or bitterness towards men because obviously they were left. So it's not necessarily I feel for them, right? I feel bad for them. They are struggling. They are trying to come to terms with the fact that they have been placed with the burden of raising a child on their own, which is no small feat.
Do you believe that fathers keep sons out of jail and daughters off the pole?
Oh yes, most certainly. They do play a strong role in the male life. And for the daughter, yes, because your first love is your father for a female. Yeah.
Let's be real. Most girls who are on the pole are due to daddy issues.
Unfortunately, I have a brother who is in jail, and my father passed away once again, so my family went through a lot of heartache, but I can only imagine that if my father was around, my brother didn't have boundaries, and men are there to place boundaries with other men, or else kids just kind of run wild and they do things, and especially men, they become like these untamed animals, right? They become these kind of uncivilized monkeys. And I'm sorry, and I
Excuse me? Did she just call guys monkeys? Could you imagine if a man said this? Could you imagine? Let's really dissect this, because I know that maybe she didn't mean to say that, or she was trying to find better words for it. But could you imagine in a world where a man on social media called women that, even though it was not intended to even though it wasn't intended to insult anybody? But could you imagine a world where a man would call a woman that, or women? The vitriol, they pile on. The cancellation, I mean, being canceled will be the least of your problems. I mean, Jesus Christ, being canceled, you'll be praying just to be canceled. But you can just say that nilly-willy and, nothing happens. And we talk about double standard. This is crazy. Anything that I know that she's been saying, good stuff, how men are needed in society, how fathers are important in children's lives, but you just dumped everything you said by calling men monkeys, man. What the hell are you thinking? Who are these monkeys? Have you seen a monkey? Have you ever seen a monkey? Let's keep going.
I don't mean to be crass about that, but men teach boundaries. And when it comes to a woman, the only reason why I did not get on OnlyFans and the only reason why I was not a stripper was because I have 4 brothers who would have murdered me if that was the route that I took. I think that there is a healthy amount of shame when men are telling you, keep your clothes on, have some self-respect. But for me, if I didn't have that and I lost my dad at such a young age, then you're constantly seeking that male validation. You're constantly seeking that love from any man who will give it to you, because you feel like there's this like gaping size hole of fatherly figure missing from your heart. So a lot of these OnlyFans models, as much as I do have compassion for them, because I understand where they're coming from, but I also know the cause of why they're doing what they're doing. And if you look at any type of sex work, typically you will find the absence of a father figure or the absence of a male role model.
Do you believe that women are naturally feminine or naturally masculine?
Naturally feminine.
I believe that being feminine is being perfectly comfortable with yourself and choosing to do the things that you love, whether they're considered masculine or feminine.
If a female nature
It's
exists
crazy.
and it's not social conditioning, why are so many people complaining about women today lacking femininity?
I think typically that's due to a very narrow definition of what femininity actually is.
I feel like it's because women are being taught these days to be masculine or to be both. And I feel like it's just not in women's nature to, I mean, a good balance of femininity and masculinity is great. But when the world is trying to have women become masculine after being feminine for thousands of years and having that being their primal instinct, I think it's just going to end badly.
Unfortunately, if you blame society, then you're going to have to blame a lot of men for putting
Of course,
women in
it's our fault.
positions.
Of course, it's our fault. When has it ever never been our fault? It's our fault that you're baby mamas. It's our fault that you guys are masculine. It's our fault that you guys are out of control. It's our fault that you guys are very emotional. It's our fault that you guys are just insane. It's our fault. Every bad thing women have ever done in this reality on this planet is man's fault. It's got to be man's fault because we caused it. This is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. How are you gonna blame men? I thought we are equals. How are you gonna blame men for the way y'all are acting? The way we are acting, who do we blame for it? Do we blame you guys? If we blamed you guys, would you guys say, yeah, it is true? When the daughters are on stripper poles, when the daughters have OnlyFans, is the man's fault, is the father's fault, is the brother's fault, is the boyfriend's fault, is the husband's fault. Where is the father? Where is our father? Because it's always got to be our fault. It's always got to be our fault. Women never take accountability for nothing. No responsibility for anything. They want us to take all the responsibility, but no authority. Submit to you. Get out of here. I don't know. I'm strong and independent. But when things go south, which usually things go south, is our fault. This is ridiculous.
Where we do have to work and where the government has supported women to have more children without men. The government has supported women to go and graduate from college to take on a bunch of debt to get degrees that we really don't need.
It's our fault too. Yeah, you go to college, take on a bunch of debt, $100,000 in debt, $50,000 in debt. It's our fault too. Don't forget that.
Social conditioning would lead us to believe that it's really not a woman's fault. And I think right now the temperature with men, they feel so unappreciated. They feel so backed up into a corner. They feel so betrayed by women that they don't want to give women any grace for where they're at. And that's okay. I understand where they're at. We are at a tipping point in our society and men need to get angry for something to change. So I'm kind of happy that they're there.
If women are all hardwired to want the highest value man, why would they ever cheat on their rich husband to be with the pool boy?
Because the rich husband did not give them the attention and love that they craved.
Men know that they can get a 10. They know that they can get a woman who is gorgeous, hot, every guy wants her, but they know what that comes with, which is bitchy, entitled, hot. Every guy wants her. She's typically doesn't take accountability. So there's a crazy hot matrix for guys. Okay. With women, we have we can go after the pool boy, but if all the other women are going after him, his likelihood of cheating is going to be probably really high. So we might choose someone who is a little bit more comfortable for us the relationship is fine. It's a great relationship. It's a decent relationship. But then after being married for 20, 15, whatever, however many years, she's raised the kids, she has done her due, she's looking for some excitement, and the man in her life and the marriage has kind of given up a little bit. Women are actually a lot dirtier than men think. But that doesn't mean that they're going to act on it. They just want these fantasies ignited within their relationship, and they want the man to provide the spontaneity and the novelty and so that's why I think women will give up and go towards the pool boy, because they are hypergamous in nature, but they also crave, the creature comforts of a man that's going to provide a safe life for them until they get bored.
The pool boy will provide. What is she talking about? What does that have to do? Everything. What does that have to do with the pool boy? You're with a rich, successful guy. You're with a high value man, and then you're going to bang the pool boy, and you're talking about being a woman are trying to find. How does a pool boy and hypergamy even belong in the same sentence? You're banging the pool boy, and she's talking about hypergamy. How is that hypergamous? How is the pool boy hypergamous? So please explain that to me. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is crazy.
Bored.
Well, what's considered more high value, being rich or being in shape?
That may be accurate. It depends on what underlying philosophies are going along with it. So sometimes being in shape is vain. Sometimes
Just say rich. Come on.
being in shape is for health. Sometimes being wealthy is greedy. Sometimes being wealthy is because you're a hard worker. So I don't think it's the outcome as much as the motivation.
Good-looking guys who are dumb as rocks, who provide no emotional or intellectual stimulation for a woman, unfortunately, that's not very high value. It's a hard place to be. I mean, being rich as well. If you're a workaholic and you're never home with your kids and you're gone all the time, women don't necessarily want that either. So they really want a combination of someone who is emotionally available. I know I say that all the time, and women say that all the time. Guys are like, what does that mean? They want your presence. They would much rather you making $80,000 a year and be home and be there and be like involved in the relationship than just be rich and gone or hot and dumb.
Can you explain the concept of ho-flation?
What the fuck does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
Okay, for prime example, my grandma, probably your grandma, wholesome women. They were good value. They cooked, they cleaned, they stayed down. They were good in-house wives. You had better back then. Now you get less from a female, and they're less of a person, and they do way less, but they expect way more. That's ho-flation.
Why do modern men have to work 5 times harder than their grandfathers did for women 20 times worse than what their grandmothers were?
Because a lot of times the men made the women worse. And though their grandfathers cherished their women more and let them be women.
We have empowered women so much to believe that they are queens and that they don't have to work for a relationship and or a man. The dating apps have created a false sense of options for women. Women are getting attention left and right on different social media platforms. You had options of 3-mile radius of people that you were dating 20, 30, even 40 years ago. I mean, the iPhone and technology has changed everything for women, especially good looking women. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, the women are just really taking advantage of the opportunities that they have to get that attention. And if men had that opportunity, I think that they would probably take it as well. So men have to stop giving that attention because they're thirsty or whatever. And women wouldn't have any place to sell that ho-flation or sell their ho-ness if men weren't buying. So, we need to kind of both take responsibility on that.
How can there be hardworking tomboy farm girls and high-maintenance princess model types, but then we're told that females have a nature that make them only one way and not the other?
Because society has formed them to be a certain way, I feel like.
it just depends on how you are raised. Like I said, I was raised more like countryside girl, like getting dirty, as in like mowing the lawn, doing oil car changes, you know, having a single mother. So I would have to do a lot of manly stuff, I guess.
If you are on a farm and your mother is milking cows and you don't have any technology, that's all you see, what else are you going to compare it to? The women who are moving to the cities, who have all of these different stimulus coming at them, giving them attention, or going to the clubs, or becoming more masculine in general, or just experiencing things that are different than being on a farm, then obviously at that point, the forget the nature, like the nurture takes over.
To me, it's the nature versus nurture, like kind of argument. I think certain things are instilled in women and they are a certain way by nature. But I also think that the environment also creates certain types of things. Like if you take a farm girl who grew up with her daddy, and her daddy's teaching her certain things, whatever, and she's going to be rough and tumble like that, but she'll still have certain attributes that all women have. And then vice versa for a woman that grew up in the city who may not had the father around, she'll just go towards what the streets tell her to do or what other women like put onto her.
Let's say you have a mother who was single mother and doesn't want you to have the same fate that she did, and that wants you to continue to be independent and not be in a position where she was put in, then of course that's going to have an influence on the way that a daughter perceives her role and her feminine nature in life. I mean, again, if we are being raised by single mothers who struggled, they didn't want the same fate for us. So we're being raised, our nature might be to stay home, but our mothers did that and the consequences were great for them. So we were raised by a generation of women who the men left, and now we are dealing with the consequences.
Hypergamy.
Anyway, I gotta stop this. I gotta stop this. So what I will learn from this video is men's fault. Masculine women is men's fault. Single mom, men's fault. Women becoming prostitutes and OnlyFans chicks, men's fault. Ho-flation is men's fault. Women becoming 5 times worse than they were, than their great grandmothers were, is men's fault. Men left. They will praise the men in the 50s, but also say that those men left the women, the baby mamas, and now they've become baby mamas and masculine as hell, and now they're becoming worse and worse and worse. So it's the men's fault. So the moral of this whole video is our fault. The women have no responsibility in this. The women have no accountability in this. It's just the men. We caused it. We made our bed. Now we have to lie in it. Yeah, we have to deal with this masculine single moms, baby mamas, OnlyFans chick, because we created them, so we have to deal with them. That's the moral of the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, hit the share button, leave your comments down below. I would love to read them. And if you may, please subscribe. You have a good night.